Hey everybody, happy Friday. It is time for my Friday Reads selection. And today we are talking about a classic, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. All right, you've probably read it. If you haven't read it, maybe you've seen the play, maybe you've seen the movie, but everybody has heard of Mice and Men. Or very, very few people have not heard of Mice and Men. I had never read the book, although I know a lot of high schools, this book does get read in a lot of high schools. I don't remember reading it when I was in high school or in school, but I did read the play when I was in college. And I remember seeing the movie. I don't think I've ever seen the play, but I've seen the movie, I've read the play. And it was recommended to me, suggested by one of my viewers here on YouTube to read the book. And I thought, why not? It's a super short read. I didn't realize how short Of Mice and Men is. It's 105 pages, super fast read. I think it took me a few days just because I didn't have a whole lot of time to read, but it was a quick read. All right. This is we're going to go ahead and go with the Amazon description. So it says, a controversial tale of friendship and tragedy during the Great Depression. They're an unlikely pair. George is small and quick and dark of face. Lenny, a man of tremendous size, has the mind of a young child, yet they have formed a family, clinging together in the face of loneliness and alienation. Laborers in California's dusty vegetable fields, they hustle work when they can, living a hand-to-mouth existence. For George and Lenny have a plan to own an acre of land and a shack they can call their own. When they land jobs on a ranch in the Salinas Valley, the fulfillment of their dream seems to be within their grasp. But even George cannot guard Lenny from the provocations of a flirtatious woman, nor predict the consequences of Lenny's unswavering obedience to the things George taught him. Okay, that is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. And here are the critical points. Well, I've already said I've read this because it was recommended by somebody here on YouTube, and thank you for your recommendation. I love to know what you're reading and what you suggest. So take a second right now, go ahead and comment in the comments below what you're reading and give me some suggestions as to what you'd like me to read and review. So definitely share your insights on books that you think that I would enjoy. Books that you don't think I would enjoy, that's fine too. Comment below. I would love to add to my ever-growing to-read list. All right, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It is the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. It was originally published in 1937, I believe, and a lot has changed, both in literature and society since 1937. A lot has changed. With that said, let's get to the guts of this story and my opinions of it. And I will warn you, there will be spoilers in this review. So if you know nothing about Of Mice and Men, if you don't know the ending, if you have not read the book and you don't want it spoiled for you, go ahead and stop this video right now, run out to your local library or your bookstore, pick up a copy of Mice and Men, read it really quick, and then come right back and watch the rest of my review. Okay, Of Mice and Men is a classic. Again, I said high schools throughout the country read this. They assign it as required reading. I don't remember reading it in school. I read the play in college, and I've definitely seen the movie with Gary Sinise and who played opposite him? John Malkovich. John Malkovich played Lenny and Gary Sinise played George. I can understand why this novel received the Nobel Prize in Literature, but I have to admit it wasn't my favorite John Steinbeck novel. The writing style, although probably a really good example of the time period, just to me seemed choppy and repetitive. Every character seemed to talk in the same rhythm, the same pattern, the same dialect, almost the same intellectual level. Even the people who were supposed to be the bosses on the farm and the boss's wife on the farm felt like they were talking in that same dialect, that same level of education. And maybe that was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but for me, it felt like there should have been a clear distinction between the owners of the farm, the bosses on the farm and his wife, than the workers. So to me, that just felt a little bit, I don't know, off-putting. I found the excessive language, there was definitely foul language. I found the excessive foul language to be disturbing, distracting, and often unnecessary. And the use of the N-word to describe the African-American character, I get that back at that time period, they used that word a lot. Probably, to me, it was off-putting, and I didn't feel comfortable with it. So that was one of the things in this book that I just didn't care for. The story is beautiful. It's the relationship between these two men, George and Lenny, and they're unlikely friends, but because of their connection, George knowing Lenny's aunt, and when she passed away, she asked George to take a look after Lenny, and he just kind of started tagging along. They became this friendship and this partnership, this relationship, this family, these two unlikely characters. And George takes care of Lenny, who's mentally challenged, as they travel across the country looking for work on farms. Their goal, of course, is to own at some point, I guess it's their dream, to own at some point a plot of land that they can live on and call their own. Lenny is constantly getting into trouble, big trouble, which causes them to have to pick up and move, leaving their jobs and not able to earn enough money to actually own this piece of land that they are hoping for. So I guess that kind of ongoing relationship, it's a perpetual cycle of pick up, move, get a job, pick up, move, get a job, pick up, move, get a job, and it leads them to just always be on the run, always be looking for something more. The characters, so well written. George is this small, caring man who looks after Lenny like he is family. And Lenny is this rather large, very strong, mentally challenged man who just does not know his own strength. He doesn't know how to think for himself, and therefore he relies on George to tell him what to do and how to react in certain situations. And when left to his own devices, Lenny reacts physically and is unable to control himself. Hence, killing the mouse, or the mice that he keeps in his pocket to pet, and killing the puppy that he so desperately wants to pet. And although it isn't until he kills, and here's spoiler, until he kills his boss's wife, that George realizes that he has to stop covering up for Lenny, and he has to make the hard decision of letting Lenny go. The final scene of this book is heart-wrenching and emotionally draining and just so sad. It was predictable. Don't get me wrong. I knew what was going to happen. I knew it had to happen. But even that predictability didn't take away from or dampen the emotional effect of how Steinbeck wrote the scene. It was a powerful scene, in my opinion. And I have seen reviews that said, final scene was eh. And then I have seen reviews which agree with me that the final scene was phenomenal. And it was just a pivotal moment in the story of George and Lenny that had to happen, even though you didn't want it to. All right. My favorite quote from this one, and it's a long one, so I'm going to read it, but my favorite quote is, "I seen hundreds of men come by on the road and on the ranches with their bindles on their back and that same damn thing in their heads. Hundreds of them. They come and they quit and go on, and every damn one of them got a little piece of land in his head. And never a goddamn one of them ever gets it. Just like heaven. Everybody wants a little piece of land. I read plenty of books out here. Nobody ever gets to heaven and nobody gets to no land. It's just in their head. It's just in their head. Okay, so that is a quote by the stable boy in the story. And basically he's saying, everybody has a dream, but that dream's not going to come true. He's telling Lenny and George that it's a dream. It's in your head. It's never going to happen. And it's really sad to think that you can work so hard, you can dream so hard, and you can try so hard to get what you want in life. And for some people, for many people, most people in fact, it's never going to happen. So you have to, in my opinion, do what you love. Enjoy what you're doing and make sure that each day you are going and doing something, even if it's a little something, that furthers your goals to your future. Get you to where you want to be. All right, those are my 2 cents. That is Of Mice and Men. Again, in the movie, it was directed by Gary Sinise, and he was also George in the movie, and John Malkovich played Lenny. The screenplay was written by Horton Foote, I believe is how you say it, but it was based on the award-winning novel by John Steinbeck, Of Mice and Men. All right, down below there will be a link to my blog review. Please check that out and see what other books I've reviewed on there. They are not all on my YouTube channel. And until next time, go ahead and click subscribe, check out my latest videos, and if you haven't already, take a look at my Amazon author page and check out my books. All right, everybody, happy reading and happy Friday.